slump, but we'll get into that. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you clicked on today's video, and if you saw by that title, we're gonna be talking about the books I read in February. February was an interesting reading month. For the first time, I think I truly hard DNF'd a book. I had some 3 stars. I think like I was very aware of like what I was rating books and like really thinking like, am I really enjoying this? So yeah, over February, the total books I read was 16 books. Technically one was a DNF, but we're gonna count it because I still spent time reading the book. But we're gonna go ahead and get into it because we have a lot of books to talk about. And yeah, we got a whole batch of different genres. So let's get into it. So, like I said, I've read 16 books. I'm gonna have to go to my Goodreads because y'all already know I am not good at remembering what order I read them in. Honestly, when I was getting the books off my shelf, I was like, y'all, some of these books felt like I read in January. That is insane. But let's start with the first book. So the first book, so the first book was the exception. Well, it's a part of this. For Valentine's Day, you had a bunch of authors get with Amazon and they released this set of books called The Improbable Meet Cute. So I read the first one, which I'll put the cover here because you can't get the physical copies. They were Kindle Unlimited. So if you guys are interested, they're like really cool short stories. I think they're super interesting. Definitely recommend you guys downloading that and reading them because they're just like the perfect little set, like palette cleansers and stuff between books. But yeah, the first one I read was The Exception to the Rule by Christina Lauren, and I gave this a 4 stars. Y'all, this book was so freaking cute. It was just like, oh my gosh. I loved it. It literally was a meet cute. Like, it was basically these two people made a mistake and emailed each other, and then every Valentine's Day and over the years they just kind of kept up with the tradition. They never met each other, but eventually they do decide to finally meet each other, and of course they already know each other, or they've already had instances where they've met and they just didn't know that obviously that was the other person. So yeah, it was just like I said, it was just so cute. It was so witty, and just like it was just a perfect little rom-com novella, if you will. Literally on my review I said I want to be an exception to the rule because literally that's how I felt. On my Kindle, it was actually an ARC, but it is written in ice by Callie Mail, and it is a 3rd book in the Orchid City World series, and it's a hockey romance, y'all. Anything Callie Mail writes, I love like her little hockey romances. They're just like so easy to get through. You don't have to worry about like a lot of brain power. Like, it's just a cute little feel-good romance, and that was my vibe this month. My vibe, I just needed a lot of witty, funny, feel-good rom-coms, and I was happy. So I gave that one a 4 stars. It was actually about an author who she went to where her grandmother stayed in Florida, I believe, and she was going there because she was writing out of her comfort zone. She was trying to write a cute fluffy romance instead of like, I guess, a thriller romance kind of. And yeah, so she goes down there and she meets this hockey player, and this hockey player is also not the type to try to, you know, really get with the woman. They're kind of polar opposites in a way, but they end up, you know, doing research to help her write the book, and over time it just becomes this cute little love story. And absolutely love the grandma, and I also love the grandma's best friend, which is actually the guy's grandmother. So it was just like, y'all know grandmas, when they want their grandkids to be ready, they be on it. They don't be playing, and they be ready to get some great grandkids. So that was just, I love that. It was so cute. It was literally just giggles and smiles and laughs. It was the second book in the Improbable Meet Cute series, which was The Worst Wingman Ever by Abby Jimenez. And I talked about this in my March TBR, like TBR jar video, but I have been really wanting to start reading Abby Jimenez books, and so I was like, let me just try this little short story first, because I had one of her books on my TBR card. Y'all, absolutely loved it. I cannot wait to read the book that I have on my TBR by her this month. I gave this one a 4 stars also. What I really liked about this one, so it was also like a Valentine's Day, like a lot of them, well, I think all of them were Valentine's Day themed, but I promise the Valentine's Day thing is not overbearing. You can definitely read it any time of the year. But yeah, it was, there was the main female character. She was a nurse, hospice nurse, and she was actually taking care of her grandmother that was pretty much in her last days, just making her feel comfortable. And the apartment complex that her grandmother stayed in was also the apartment complex of a guy's brother. And so the brother wanted to, they don't know each other. Keep in mind, they didn't know each other at all. The guy's brother was trying to, I guess, surprise his girlfriend. So he had his brother that doesn't live in the complex basically put a little note on his girlfriend's car, but he puts it on the wrong car. He puts it on the female character's car, and at first the main female character is like, what the heck is happening? Why is someone putting this stuff on my car? And it's just so cute. They end up, she ends up finding out who it is. They kind of just keep swapping notes. So it's like she'll leave something on her car hoping that the guy, because she doesn't know that the guy, if he lives there or not, if he works there. So he just ends up like, you know, he goes there a lot because his brother lives there, and she's obviously there a lot because her grandmother is there. And so they just keep swapping notes on her car. He ends up putting air in her tire when he constantly sees that her tire is low. And like at this point, they still have not met each other. They do meet each other, but they don't know it's each other. And then they literally a meet cute. That is literally what these books are. It's all a meet cute. Literally so funny. And like I said, I was so excited to like dive into her writing now, and hence why it's called The Worst Wingman Ever. It's basically kind of titled from the brother's point of view, if you will, because like his brother was supposed to be the wingman for his girlfriend on Valentine's Day, but obviously not. He ended up getting his own little meet cute on Valentine's Day. So I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. I literally like started devouring the books in this series. But I read the third book in this series, and it's Rosie and the Dreamboat by Sally Thorn. I've also have not read Sally Thorn's writing. I really do want to. One of my friends have constantly told me I need to read Normal People. Like, it's just such a good book. I know her writing style is a little bit different. I think it's more in the literary fiction kind of thing. I think I also have Conversations with Friends by her. I think that's what it's titled. So yeah, I do want to get into her writing. I just got to be in the mood for it, but I think this was the perfect way to kind of like just see what her writing style was like. And this one, I think I already said the title, but it's Rosie and the Dreamboat. And this one, the main female character is kind of just like, she just doesn't know when she has like this perfect guy in her head. She just doesn't think she's gonna find the love of her life. Like, it's just the normal women self-doubt once you start getting to a certain age. But her sister is the polar opposite. She sees her sister as a person that basically gets everything she wants. Everything works out in her favor. Like, there's no animosity between the two, but it's definitely like a running joke between them that one has the good luck, one has the bad luck. And the sister ends up, well, the main female character, she ends up booking her and her sister a little spa day, and they end up having to go into this like water pressure thing. I honestly don't know how you would explain it, but of course, with the good luck bad luck, the sister has the best time, comes out, but she gets locked in it, the latch. She can't get out of it, and so firefighters have to come, and she's like in this thing completely naked. Luckily she's covered, but yeah, firefighters have to come, and they're all trying to figure out how to get her out. But then the spa company is like, don't ruin this tank. We just paid all this money for this tank. Don't ruin it, blah, 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 blah. So one of the firefighters actually stays with her while her sister goes and finishes her spa day. Her sister goes and finishes the spa day. Literally not mad about it or anything. Just like, she's like, go enjoy your spa day. But one of the firefighters decides to stay there, and they just end up kind of talking, and he's like trying to keep her calm, and they end up doing some banners, some flirting. And yeah, once she gets out, it's kind of just like, you know, I'm not gonna ruin it, but you guys know, it's like, obviously it's their meet cute. And then the fourth one I read in this little series was Drop Cover and Hold On by Jasmine Cierra. This is also the, wait, did I gave Rosie and the Dreamboat 3 stars. I don't know if I said that, but the one by Jasmine Cierra, which I'll put the cover here as well. This was also my first book by Jasmine Cierra. I do have a lot of her books also, so this was like I saw this as the perfect time to like finally start diving into these authors that like I have their books, I just have not started them, and just like get familiar with their writing. But I gave this one also a 3 stars. This one here, it's about this girl's in a town, there's a really bad earthquake. She is like walking home, she wants to go into this bakery, but she just doesn't believe the baker, the owner, really likes her. She just feels like he's just like so rude to her, and like she's just like, well, if he's rude, I'm not going to give them my business. But as she's like crossing across that store, hesitant on going in, there's an earthquake and she has to go in for protection. And so yeah, so they actually end up, they're the only 2 in there. He ends up having to obviously like let her stay so she can be safe with the earthquake. They end up talking, and you know, it just kind of unfolds of how everything was a misunderstanding. And yeah, I will say it wasn't my favorite in like the little series, but it was still really good. And yeah, it was spicy. This one was spicy. I did not expect that, but I gave that one 3 stars as well. I think out of all of them, my favorites were definitely the first 2. So The Exception to the Rule by Christina Lauren and The Worst Wingman Ever by Abby Jimenez. But okay, now we went through the bulk of that series because I did read more in the series, so we'll get back into that later. The first physical book I read, obviously there was a lot of Kindle reads this month, which we have a lot more Kindle reads to cover, but this was actually on my 2024 TBR. Y'all, I feel like we are knocking out my TBR this month, or this year. We are on a good start. We started good in January. Now here we are in February. Cannot believe it's already March. But I read House of Flame and Shadow. Y'all, I have a whole like hour-long reading vlog uploaded. You can see all my thoughts. Yes, I sobbed, but y'all, this book did not disappoint. I absolutely loved it. I already knew I would. It was definitely one book that I had high expectations for. But at this point, anything Sarah J Maas writes, like, I will read anything she writes. I do not care if it's not finished. I don't care, but I'm going to read it. And I guarantee you, hands down, I'm probably going to give it a 5 stars because it's just, her writing is just so immersive. I like going from Akatar, going into Crescent City, and then I'll be going into Throne of Glass. It's just like the complexity of this book, like the high fantasy aspect of it, it was just so intriguing and so immersive, and you just kind of forget that you're not really in their world. Like, and that's what you need when you read a fantasy book. Like, I feel like it's already sometimes hard to connect with the fantasy book because it's already a different world. You're trying to learn everything, all the laws and stuff, and so to be able to get lost, and hence this also is the 3rd book, so you've had 2 books to kind of really understand the world and really kind of see if this is, you know, your interest or not. But I mean, by the 1st book I kind of already felt like that. I was like immersed in the world, which is hence why I like continued the series. But yeah, I just find it so like intriguing how like I can get lost in such like a high fantasy book and not even realize that like it's not even like my normal world, you know? Like, it's easy for a romance book for you to see everything and picture everything, picture yourself in it, but for someone to do that over a fantasy book is insane. And Sarah J Maas has never failed to do that. Like, you just feel like you're in it and watching it all happen and unfold. So yes, like I said, if you guys want to see all of my thoughts, every thought I had in the middle of this book, go check out that video. I posted it early February, but I'll link it in the description for you guys if you want to see it. But highly recommend you going to click on that video. And of course, it was, I think I already said this, but it was a 5-star. Immediate 5-star. That was literally not a question. My heart, you know, oh my gosh. It was just such a good book, guys. Okay, but the next book I read, which, wait, I have a stack in front of me, so I have to get it. But I read If Only I Had Told Her by Laura Nolan. This is the second and final installment in the If He Had Been With Me world. This one was actually, I think this one was really written because it was more so requested. I don't think this was actually planned to be written when she wrote the first one. But if you haven't, if you haven't seen anything about the first one actually broke people apart. It broke me apart. That was like the first book that I like literally ugly sobbed to. Like, y'all, I literally could not listen to the playlist, like the little Spotify playlist, for weeks without crying. That is like how sad. That's like, and it wasn't even like a depression sad. It was just like, I don't know. The first book literally, like, it's so crazy because you know what happens. Like, she doesn't, like, it's not a spoiler that like somebody dies in the book. Like, it's on the back of the book, it's in the first line of the book. Like, there is literally no spoiler about that. Like, you know that going into the book, but then when you get to it, it's just like it hits you all over again, and you're just like, bro, like, what the heck. And so and it was all from the female's point of view. So this one, I was expecting this to be from the male's point of view. I was expecting, I don't know if I was really expecting to like go over the exact same timeline from his point of view, or like, you know, if I was expecting to like see like their whole timeline from his point of view. But yeah, I was definitely expecting the whole thing to be from his point of view. But that's not what we got. We did get his point of view, but we also got two other point of views. We got his best friend, and then we got Autumn's point of view again, which I really did enjoy Autumn's point of view. Just seeing how everything unfolded after how If He Had Been With Me ended. So I really did like that. The best friend's point of view, I mean, it was interesting, but it was not what I was expecting. I don't think we really got to know enough about him in the first book, but granted that he was Feny's best friend, I see why we got that point of view. Especially since he may have known stuff that, you know, obviously Autumn didn't know. But yeah, it was just, it wasn't, I don't think I really needed it, if that makes sense. And Feny's point of view, it kind of picks up, I mean, we get a little bit of their history, but it really picks up to the day of the event. And yeah, I just have to say, I had really high expectations for this book, and I don't think those expectations were met, but it was still a good book. I'm not saying it was a bad book. It still definitely was enjoyable to read, but it was just the fact that, like, I think because I had pictured in my head exactly what I thought the book was going to be, I think I kind of went into it like already in a disadvantage, because I kind of had my mind already like decided like on what I wanted to see out of this book, and it just wasn't, it wasn't that. But like I said, it was still definitely good. I think I gave this one, I gave it a 3.5 stars, but I rounded it up to 4 stars on Goodreads. So yeah, like I said, it wasn't bad. It's just, I definitely say don't go into it with any expectations, because I think it's so easy to form expectations after you finish If He Had Been With Me, because you're like, okay, like then you hear like, even if you see the title, like If Only I Had Told Her, like I think what you think is you're gonna get is like so different than what you actually get. But nonetheless, it was still an enjoyable book. I definitely recommend you read it after you read If He Had Been With Me, but I don't think it's a necessity unless you just really want to know. Mainly, I would say, like, honestly, if you just really want to know how Autumn like goes through life after If He Had Been With Me, I feel like that's like really, you know, the interesting part of this, in my opinion. I think that's like what the, like, out of all of that, that's the most of what I got out of that book. But then next I read a thriller, and it's so funny because I read this, didn't even realize it, but this is my anniversary year of reading this author for the first time. So I read Rock Paper Scissors by Feny in February of 2023, and I absolutely enjoyed it. That was my first book by her. I gave it a 5 stars. It was actually still one of my top reads of 2023. So I said, why not spin the block again? I mean, obviously I've read more of her books since then, but I was like, you know, let's spin the block again on Miss Feny, and I was not disappointed. I read Good Bad Girl, and y'all, I absolutely enjoyed this. This is her newest release, y'all, and I think she's coming out with something else soon. I went on Goodreads and I can't remember what it was, but she's coming out with something else soon. But first of all, let's talk about the length of the book. I absolutely love it. It was, you know, it wasn't a super long book. I was able to fly through it. I think I read this, I started it one night and finished it like the next day during my lunch. So it was definitely a book that was like super easy and quick to get through. It keeps you intrigued. And yeah, it's from, like, I guess you can say it's from 3 points of view, 3 points of women's view, and they're all like, one woman, she's lost her child. Her child was stolen from the grocery store. She doesn't know who stole her child. Years have gone by, and she has kind of accepted that, you know, her daughter is gone. But then you have another woman who has raised her daughter, and now her daughter has not, an event happened where the daughter has left her mother and is like, you know what, you didn't tell me what I wanted to know, we're done. And then you have the main female character's point of view, which is the daughter who ran away. And yeah, it's a whole thing. But nonetheless, really good. I don't want to say too much because Feny has a way of definitely she has a way of definitely like making you think you know something, and then obviously you're so wrong. But I did like how everything tied together. It's still like, when I read her writing, like, I try to go back and be like, what was the clues? But like, as I go through it, I just have to accept, like, there's really no clues. Like, that's just kind of how her books are written. But I really love it because it's kind of hard to just really, like, it's really hard to put together, and at the end you're like, wow, like, but that, it was a good book. So yeah, I gave that one 4 stars as well. I finished the Off-Campus series, and I read The Legacy. Y'all cannot stand this cover. I did get my new covers, y'all, so this will be listed on Pango Books if you guys are interested in getting this copy. Because yeah, I just personally, I don't really care to have the indie copy of this, if that's what you would call it. Yeah, I love my new copy. So if you guys are interested, definitely make sure you check out my Pango Books. It's in the description box. But this is the last and final book of the Off-Campus series, and this one is just a little compilation of 4 short stories, and it covers each couple and where they're at after college. Absolutely loved it. It wasn't, I mean, you couldn't get deep into each story, obviously, because it's a short story. It's just a little glimpse of where each couple is, but it's super cute. I gave it 3 stars, and y'all, I absolutely love this world. Like, to think that, like, I literally started this series just on a whim. I started it in November when I was sick in bed with COVID, and I was just like, you know what, let me just start it. And y'all, I was not expecting to love it as much as I did, but I absolutely love this series. I think overall I give this entire series like a 4.5 rating. So highly recommend that you go and read this series. It's just like the perfect little romance. Sorry, my camera stopped, but it's just like the perfect little romance to just get lost in. And I love all the characters. I love the relationships. Out of all of them, man, I don't even know if I can pick one. Oh my gosh, I don't even know if I can pick one relationship, but I do love Tucker. I love Tucker, and just like how different he is. Y'all, but I also love the progress that we see on Dean. But then I love Garrett and Logan. Like, y'all, I love them all. And yeah, I just I love that series, so I highly recommend that you dive into that series if you have not. Next book I read was Ace of Spades by Farida. I'm not going to say the last name because I do not want to butcher it, but y'all, this book was so good. Y'all, I was not expecting to love this book as much as I did. I also was not expecting it to be what it was. I don't really know what I thought it was. I know I didn't read the back fully because I didn't want to ruin it. But I thought this was more so of just like a book about two high school students who were just trying to, you know, make it to the top so they can get the best scholarships or what. Actually, I thought it was college based at first, but it's high school based. And yeah, but this was way more than I expected, but I absolutely devoured every minute of it. Yeah, it focuses on so much. It focuses on so many topics that as a African American, as a black woman, like that we have to deal with, or that we've seen people deal with. And I just think the way she portrayed this story is just amazing. And yeah, like, but while still keeping it like light and easy to read. Like, it wasn't like you were reading like a memoir or something where, like, you know, like, it wasn't like that. It was still a very interesting story, but it still touched on serious topics. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. But just a little synopsis: the main two characters are pretty much the only two black kids at their school right now. And they are pretty much at the top of their class. Like, they have promised to get into you know, the top schools. The main male character, he is trying to get into Juilliard because he writes music. And the main female character, she is I think it's Yale she's trying to get into. I can't remember, but it was one of the Ivy Leagues for sure. And it's their senior year. They're so close. Their school has this thing where they call prefects, where basically they're the face of their class, and like they're supposed to exemplify excellence and all of this. So they both get picked along with some other students, and as soon as they join, just weird things start to happen. There's like these anonymous texts going throughout the school, basically outing both of their secrets. Things that, like, you know, don't nobody have no business knowing. And they are trying to figure out what is happening, and it gets to a point like it's kind of like, when I think about it, it's kind of like when you think of Pretty Little Liars, the way A like impacted their lives, like how A had so much power over them, and like it was things that like a high schooler shouldn't even be having to do, like where they were just like, it's like that, like the insanity of it was like Pretty Little Liars level, like, you know. So yeah, I loved it. I loved the mystery element of it. I loved just how everything like kind of came out, and like even then, like the way it came out was just like, I think it was so real. It wasn't fairy tale-esque. Like, it wasn't like, oh, like, okay, we finally hit the mark and like now everything is gonna work out. No, baby. No, it was given real life. It was given real life issues, and I gave that one 4 stars as well. The next book I read in the Improbable Meet Cute series, which was With Any Luck by Ashley Poston. And honestly, I'm trying to remember what this book was about because my mind just went blank, but I gave it a 3 stars, and it was something with luck, obviously, because the title, let me read y'all. I promise y'all it was good, but I honestly didn't forget what it was about. I don't remember, but I enjoyed it while I was reading it, so that's why I gave it 3 stars. I liked it. I did like it. I just don't remember it. But then the next book I read was Pretty Rings and Broken Things by Kat Singleton. And y'all, I actually got this as an ARC, but I did pre-order the paperback and it actually came early, so that's good. But y'all, first of all, Kat Singleton, billionaire romantic. I'm gonna eat them up every time. I absolutely love Black Ties and White Lies. I think I read that last year, and like, did I read it around the holidays? I think I read it around the holidays because I remember, no, maybe it wasn't around the holidays. No, it was not. I think it was like fall time. I remember like having my little fireplace on my TV. I just don't remember what time of year it was, but it was good. And this one, it focuses on one of the best friends, and her name is Winnie. We're gonna call her Win because like her name, I think it's like Winifred or something, but we're gonna call her Winnie. Winnie is pretty much the person that's just like the face of the brand. Her dad sends her to parties when he just needs, you know, someone to make a face for them. Like that's what she does. She's just, you know, the face of them. But she also has high expectations. Like her family has high expectations of who she dates, all of that. She ends up dating someone who works for her dad. The guy, completely a slum bag, which obviously she didn't know that at the time. But he ends up recording them the very first time they finally connect, and he ends up basically trying to blackmail her father, or he will release the video. So as damage control, her father has her marry the son of their basically like nemesis, their person who, the other hotel company. And granted, they're pretty much kind of on the same level, but the guy's family is a little bit more powerful in a sense, just because like they have kind of spent their life trying to like overpower, you know, trying to get back on what the other family did. It's a lot. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't want to confuse y'all, but anyways, they are forced into a fake marriage so that essentially no one's gonna mess with her. Like the guy isn't gonna try to release the video because now she's married to the son of the other hotel company, his dad, whatever, and they kind of just have this reputation where you don't mess with them. You know, you're gonna pay. If you mess with them, you're gonna pay for it. So that was the whole thing. That was why her dad wanted her to marry him, and what they get out of it is that they obviously get a stake in the hotels, and it's like, okay, now we kind of, you know, that's just the background of it. They end up getting married, and it's a fake marriage. Obviously, well, it's a real marriage, but it's fake for them. And you know, they kind of go about their lives, but they do end up trying to, you know, obviously they have to make it look real, so they do events together. She didn't tell her friends, so her friends is just like, what the heck, Winnie, like, who is this guy? Like, we didn't know any, like, well, they know who he is, but then they know that he's her arch enemy. So they're like, how the heck did this happen? Like, it's just blindsided everyone. And yeah, what I love about Archer though, he actually does find her attractive. Like, they're definitely both attracted to each other, but obviously it's that thing of like, can they trust each other? And Winnie is very much, especially after the incident that got her in this situation, obviously she has her walls up. She is just not for just trusting anyone anymore. And yeah, so he's just like, you see like him trying to earn her trust, even though he did nothing to like not earn her trust. But like for her now, it's like your trust has to be earned, it's not given. So yeah, that's what it turns out into, and it's just so cute. Archer is literally such a cute book husband, book boyfriend, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I ate it up. It was a good time while I was reading it. I gave it 3.5 stars, but rounded it up to a 4, because I didn't think it was fair to round it to a 3, because like I could see myself rereading it. I could definitely see me recommending it, but I did not like it as much as I liked Black Ties and White Lies. Y'all, Margot and Beck ate down. I'm sorry, Margot and Beck, you ain't messing with them. They ate and they delivered, and yeah. But like I said, I did still enjoy Winnie and Arch, and I cannot wait for the third one, which is the other best friend, which I forgot her name. But yeah, y'all. This is the one book that I DNF'd this month. Like I said, I'm not usually a DNF type person. And it's not that I just haven't enjoyed a book. I haven't read a book where I just did not enjoy it enough to be like, I will never pick up this book again. Like, this is a hard DNF for me. And this is what this was for me. And I had such high expectations. Y'all, when y'all see the book, y'all gonna know. Because this was like, I had a whole day planned to read this book, and I was very disappointed, unfortunately. And I don't know if I'll ever try again with the author. With the book. I don't see it. I don't see myself trying to pick it up and give it another chance. Yeah, but it is Home Run Proposal by Maureen Moore. And y'all, I love Maureen Moore. Like, I read her Festive Feud and then The Mistletoe Bed. Ate down The Festive Feud. Y'all, I love that book so much. Like, that was one of my top holiday reads. The Mistletoe Bed I enjoyed. Didn't love it as much as The Festive Feud. So I felt like, you know, I had read the author's work, so I could definitely, you know, get into her writing. But this one, y'all, it was just, I think the premise of the book was just so weird. I did not think, I don't know what I thought. I guess I forgot when I read the back of the book. But 1 star. I think I got to like, I think I maybe got to 50% of the book. And I just couldn't finish it. I was like on day 2 or day 3. And I just was finding it so hard to pick up the book. And I was just like, you know what? It's just not the book for you. And that's okay. That's okay. Sometimes every book is not a hit. But yeah, it's just, I think the premise of the book was just kind of off kilter for me. And I couldn't get with it. I just couldn't follow along with it. So yeah. But then the next book we have Tattered by Devney Perry. And y'all, I absolutely love this book. Y'all, this is my first Devney Perry book, and I was not disappointed. I actually started Timid last night, and y'all, I cannot wait to continue. This is the Lark Cove series. Don't ask me why I started with this one. I just feel like I should start with some of her older writing before I dived into the newer writing, which I know the Eden series is like the most popular, which, trust me, I am going to be reading it. The first book is on my TBR card, but I was just like randomly, like, I was like, you know, I have them downloaded on my Kindle. Let me just go ahead and start them. It's easy to read in bed. It was nice to read while I was reading. I'm about to show y'all what else I was reading. So this was a nice balance because it was easy. It was cute. It is a surprise pregnancy, but I love the way it was written. Basically, this couple, or these 2 individuals, because they're not a couple at the time, they have a one-night stand. They don't really get to know each other. They don't know each other's last name. They don't know what each other do. They just literally have this one-night stand, and after that, she finds out she's pregnant, but she doesn't know how to find the guy. She ends up actually moving out of New York and going to stay with like the person that pretty much kind of raised her, because she was in a foster home. This is the one woman that kind of really had her best interests at heart. So yeah, but then years later, like 5-6 years later, he actually comes to the town for a business opportunity, and they have the most weirdest meet where like they do not expect to meet each other at all. He doesn't even know she's there. He thinks that she's still in New York. And yeah, that's how he finds out. And throughout the book, you just get to find out how they navigate that. And he's from a wealthy family. She's from not a wealthy family. Like I said, she was in foster homes, but she has really made a living for herself. She has made a life for her and her daughter. And it's just, it's so cute, but it's bizarre, and I loved it. I laughed out loud. I absolutely loved the little girl, Charlie, y'all. It was just so like such good vibes and such like good banter, and like I just loved it all. I loved it. I love the vibes of it. I love the scene. I love the town that they were in, like small town. I'm always love that. So the next book, which is a book, I read The Great Undoing. Daisy Hates The Great Undoing by Jessa Hastings. I really wish I would have vlogged me reading this book. I don't think I did. Y'all, first of all, 5 stars. I mean, what else do we expect? I'm a Daisy girl. I love Magnolia, but y'all, I am a Daisy girl at heart. And this book, of course, wrecked me. It wrecked me, and it put me in the biggest book slump of my life. Y'all, I tried to read like 4 different books and could not get through none of them. this book, and Justin Hastings' writing always does that to me. And I was gonna go into Magnolia Park's Into the Dark, but I was just like, I physically cannot step into this world again without my heart shattering. So yeah, but it is on my TBR for the month of March. So, you know, hopefully we don't end up like that again. I'm not gonna even say much about this book because I don't think there's much you can say without spoiling it, but it's everything you wanted between Daisy, Christian, and Julian. And y'all, I loved it. I loved it so much. I just, oh my gosh, I don't think I will ever get tired of them. I love that we're going to get more Daisy Hates books. Like, I think we get 2 more Daisy's books, and I cannot wait. I am so ready. But then last but not least, because like I said, I was in a slump. I finished this one on the 22nd and did not touch another book until the 28th. And it was a little novella. So it's I Think I Might Love You by Christina Jones. This is part of the Love Sisters trilogy. Y'all, this book did help a lot. It was funny. I laughed a lot. It didn't pull me out of my book slump, but it got me back into reading after that book slump. Yeah, it was just, I put the title here, I put the cover because they're all on Kindle Unlimited. I actually did finish reading the second one last night, so it'll be my March wrap up. But yeah, it's these 3 sisters, the Love Sisters, and each book focuses on one of them. And the first one, her name is Jacqueline, and she is, I'm not gonna say she's a hot mess, but she's definitely the wilder of the sisters. She's definitely the well, not gonna say outcast, but she is the one, would you call it the black sheep? The one who's like gets in trouble a lot. She has, you know, she always was in trouble with somebody. But it's simply because, you know, she don't take no crap. She ain't let nobody get over on her. And that's just, it is what it is. And so she ends up meeting this veterinarian by accident, because she goes into her sister's apartment thinking her sister is there and she could stay the night because she just broke up with her boyfriend, which is a whole nother situation. But turns out her sister is actually subleasing her apartment to someone, and she didn't know that. So she walks in and this guy is there butt naked, and of course she thinks that someone is in her sister's apartment trying to break in or whatever. So yeah, you have all of that, but then they actually end up meeting again because he is a veterinarian, and she finds a cat and the cat is hurt, and she takes him to where he works. She didn't know, but they found each other, and you can instantly feel the tension. You can feel it between them. You could just feel almost like the fake hatred, because they like kind of hate each other now, but they like obviously are attracted to each other. So yeah, that's what it is. And there's a lot more that unfolds in that, but I don't want to spoil it because it's, like I said, it's a little novella, so I feel like you can't say too much about novellas because it's only so short that, like, until I end up telling you the whole book. So yeah, and like I said, I love it because, like, it was just nice, and like it was super easy to kind of get through, and it was just like a good time. 4 stars. And so yeah, like I said, I read the second one last night, absolutely loved it. Cannot wait to start the third one, and I'll definitely be trying to read more of this author because it was so cute, and it's written by a black author, and it's like black relationships, black love, and I ate it up. I absolutely ate it up. So yeah. But those are all the books I read. There was a total of 16 books. Them little novellas, they helped me throughout this month because I had a lot of reads that could have put me in slumps, and obviously Daisy Hates, she nipped it in the bud. She said, I'm the one that's gonna put you in a slump. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you read this month. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what were your thoughts. But yeah, I know we've been talking long enough because, like I said, I read a lot of books this month. So yeah, I will see you in the next video. I love you guys, and thank you for watching. Bye.